What's happening, team? I'm Liam and this is After Dark, where I look from a wrestler's point of view at AEW Dark and what it takes to make it to the next level of the wrestling business. Dark is the proving ground to AEW, and I want to try and look at this from a wrestler's perspective to work out just exactly what it takes to make it to the next level. And I think this insight in regards to seeing people at a very early fundamental stage will prove really beneficial for a lot of people if we're looking at it in the right way. Any critiques that I make through this is no discredit to the wrestlers that are appearing on AEW Dark. They have to be good wrestlers to be appearing on that show and to even be noticed in that regard. So it's no negative critiques. I'm not saying that anybody's a bad wrestler, but we can look at elements to improve them along the line. And I think this, again, is a really good way of working out just exactly what it takes to make it to that next level and who's going to be the big stars in 5 years' time. And with that out of the way, let's get into this week's show. It takes place on the 16th of February 2021 and takes place at Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. First match up on Dark this week, and it is a huge name. We have former AEW champion Jon Moxley, and he's taking on John Cruz. Looking into John Cruz, he is also known as Serpentico, which is interesting that they would have John Cruz wrestling without a mask on. Don't particularly know the reason for it. Well, the reason for it is that we are plugging Dynamite. If you watched last week, a couple of instances where I was saying this is a match for Dynamite, this is a match for Dynamite. They've got a huge 8-man tag coming up on Dynamite and they want to put that over. How do they advertise it? They have Jon Moxley on the card. I don't think he took a bump. No, he did. No, sorry, he did. He took a head scissors early on from John Cruz. I think he took another bump, and that's pretty much it. And there's not much into this match. If you were watching this expecting a classic match from Jon Moxley, that's not what you're going to get because it's a free show on YouTube. But serves its purpose, puts over Dynamite. To go into the critiques a little bit, or to go into some of the things around it, Jon Moxley carries himself incredibly well. I think the resurgence of Jon Moxley's career going from WWE to AEW has been fantastic. I think this portrayal of who Jon Moxley is exactly what he wanted it to be, and I think it just got lost along the way in WWE. So it's great to see him really fulfill his potential out of it. If we're looking at John Cruz, what could John Cruz have done in that match? He did everything perfectly well. He was there to put over Jon Moxley. He took all the bumps well. He sold for him well. He was there for everything, and in that regard, John Cruz did fantastic in this match. Second match of the night, and we have tag action. This is Bear Country, which is Bear Bronson and Bear Boulder, couldn't tell you which is which, against Serpentico, who's making his second appearance unofficially of the night. Serpentico and Luther as the Chaos Project, and not Chaos Theory like I always want to call them. This match was really nice and solid. I think the purpose of it is to give Bear Country more time in front of the camera. I like Chaos Project. I think for the role that they have, they fill it particularly well. I think it's a unique gimmick. I like the use of Serpentico as a weapon. I think as a tag team, that's just something different that they do. And when we're looking at wrestling, we always want those little different things that make us stand out. For Bear Country, obviously the focus of the match is on them. I don't really understand the mask that they come out with. That's just me, but it just doesn't... Is it like a bear trap that's pulled the face apart? I don't know, but I feel like if you were going down that bear route, the mask just doesn't fit in with that look. And I'd also like to see them hit more tag moves. A couple of bits through this. This is a very standard tag match, which follows all the standard tag team tropes. Something that I really dislike, and I hold my hands up, I am super guilty of it. Why does the referee always spend more time with the face, and why does the face not realise, or why does the good guy not realise that actually just getting out of the ring is going to mean that the ref sorts out the problem quicker than them arguing? I get it, like heat of the moment, or you need to save your partner, but thinking logically about it, why would you not just step out of the ring? But yeah, it's a very of the numbers or by the numbers tag match, and I would have just liked to have seen more tag team wrestling from Bear Country. They do a couple of bits together, but at times it felt like two singles guys that had the same singlet on. So for me, for Bear Country to take that next step, I need to see them doing more tag team things together and breaking up that tag team formula a little bit more. More tag team action, and this is Butcher and the Blade with Bunny against Jake, St. Patrick, not St. Pierre, and Sage Scott. This match is once again putting over the same 6-man tag, not 8-man tag like I said earlier on, the same 6-man tag as the John Moxley match was putting over. When I mentioned in the match before about more tag team unity from Bear Country, Butcher and the Blade do a great job of it. Yes, they look like a team and Bear Country looks like a team, but there's differences in the two of them. I like the Butcher, I really like the Butcher. To say he's come from a hardcore music background and he's not got that much wrestling experience, you couldn't tell. And I also think that different background has just allowed him to go, I'm going to do something different. I highly rate this team, I highly rate the Butcher. So when it comes to tag team unity, they are moving like a tag team, they are doing moves together, all their offense is pretty much tag team stuff, so I highly rate Butcher and the Blade. For Bunny, I don't think that fits in with the gimmick. I don't really understand the laughing. Like, oh yeah, she's maniacal, I guess, but it doesn't seem to fit with the overall presence of the team. But maybe that's just me just not liking how that fits in together. From St. Patrick and Scott's side, they're just putting over the team. They move well for them. One little thing that we could potentially pick up on is when Sage Scott does the backflip to then go for a slap and backs off. As a face team, I feel like that almost makes him a little bit heelish in a sense of like doing the hands up back off. Maybe, just maybe, a punch where like he sells the hand and then comes up and then Blade comes forward for him could have potentially made that spot just a little bit more aligned, but that's a minute nitpick in just an overall solid performance as guys putting over a dominant tag team. And if we're looking at dominant tag teams, Butcher and the Blade do a fantastic job on being a tag team. Second singles action of the night, and it is a women's match. This is Renee Michelle making her AEW debut against Sharna. A back and forth contest putting over Sharna in the end. Couple of points to take from this. For me, Sharna brings the problem of cosplay into wrestling. What is her character? That she likes Dragon Ball Z? It's one of those things that I see on a fairly regular basis, and on an independent level where you need something instantly to connect with someone, having a reference as gear works. On mainstream TV, I feel like you need to take that next step away from that, and that is a downside that I can see in Sharna's performance. Loves a double underhook, which also brings me to a point of that Tiger Suplex. It's probably the second time, maybe third time that I've seen her hit it and then not get the pin correctly off of it. If that was me, I'd maybe think about leaving that move because we're not getting the sweet execution out of it every single time. For Renee, has a good showing in debut. You can see a character that is there. You can see her presence. She carries herself well. Maybe a little bit unsure of herself, but in a debut match, that can be forgiven. Hopefully with some more time, that nerves, that anxiety that sits around it can calm and go through. One spot that I thought wasn't particularly needed or wasn't executed right. Wrist lock, Sharna nips up, gets her hair pulled. She then nips up again and there's an awkward moment where there's a good second where they're looking at each other, hair pull. And then Sharna does a hair pull to Renee after that one. This rule of three that you will see very often in wrestling, I think sometimes is overdone. There was no need for a second hair pull, made Sharna look like an idiot. The moment that they were stood there didn't look particularly crisp. Just cut that second one out. She's pulled your hair, you pull her hair. Easy. Overall, it's a solid singles match, and again, this is something that I'll say solid throughout. Main points that we're looking at is thinking about gear and making sure that we get comfortable within a wrestling ring. Next match is a tag team match, and this is Alex Reynolds and John Silver of the Dark Order against Eric James and VSK. quick match. We put over the Dark Order, but it gives the chance for Eric James and VSK to sort of shine a little bit and to get a little bit of stuff in, and they take that opportunity. I think if they're looking to make them a tag team, they had an opportunity to do some tag team moves and they took it, and I was really impressed. And if that's what we're looking for out of this match, as one moment to go, actually that worked really nicely, they absolutely nailed it. I quite liked Eric James. I liked his gear. I thought it was different. It was eye-catching. He has some pictures on his knee pads that I couldn't particularly make out. As a quick note, Eric James has spent the last couple of years at CAP, which is Creative Pro, Brian Myers Training School. There's a lot of people in AEW that have gone through that school, so Brian Myers is really churning out some good talent. For me, this shows exactly how powerful YouTube can be at this moment in time. Dark Order are over massive, and I think that is pretty much down to BTE. It has given them the opportunity to showcase more personality, and I think John Silver has taken that and is absolutely running with it. He's absolute money because he's found that confidence in a character that he's bringing forward. Also moves really well. I think Alex Reynolds moves really well. I just think he's lacking the same personality, but John Silver has such a big personality that I think anybody will look small in comparison. Once again, more tag team action, and this is Jurassic Express against Baron Black and John Skyler. I feel like at this point in time, someone's gone, lads, we need to be out of here in 15. They are out the gate. This match is incredibly short, and for good reason as well. Obviously the heat with Jurassic Express and FTR is building up, and we're putting over a new intensity coming out of Jurassic Express. This unfortunately means that Baron Black and John Skyler don't get that much in. Again, it's needs must. They do the job, they bump around well. The point of this match is to put over Jurassic Express to an extreme. They hit really, really nicely. I like Luchasaurus. I think he's got a great look, and I think he moves incredibly well and differently. I think Jungle Boy is a really raw talent that, as I mentioned last week, sometimes people need a story to develop character. I think he's going to grow out of the Jungle Boy persona into something different down the line. He's young, and really that's when we're going to see him really explode. Back in with singles action, and this is Tyconte against Vert Vixen. We've seen Vert Vixen a couple of times on AEW Dark now, and she loves a good pose. Overall, I was really impressed with this match. I thought it was really good. I've spoken a couple of times now about using Dark to get reps in. I think Ty is one of those people that they're doing that with, and it's really showing off. This is probably the smoothest that I've seen her move, the most confident that I've seen her move, and the best execution of a lot of her moves. To talk on Vert Vixen a little bit, I think she does a really good job in ring. I think she moves really well. As far as female talent go, and female talent on Dark, she's probably one of the better ones that I've seen, so hopefully she gets a bit more chance to showcase herself. Still not entirely sure on what Vert Vixen means, but it's cool, whatevs. People have different things. One bit that I didn't like from the match, the spot on the outside where they almost sandwich Vert Vixen in together. It feels like they were taking advantage of a numbers game despite being faces, and especially now that the Dark Order are faces, seems a little bit out of place, but again, I can forgive that. It gives Vert a chance to get up on top. All good. Overall, really enjoyed this match. I thought it was a good showcase for Ty, and I thought it was a really good showcase for Vert Vixen, so hopefully more in the future for her. Singles action once again, and we're getting a little bit meatier into the matches. This is Eddie Kingston against Aaron Solo. I'm guessing that Eddie Kingston tripped over as he was making his entrance the first time round, because Excalibur mentions it on commentary. He makes a little bit of emotion, so I'm guessing that'll probably end up on Botchamania. Again, something that I've talked about a couple of times is that feeling of comfort and confidence in the ring, and I think Eddie Kingston exudes confidence when he's in the ring. He feels comfortable when he's in the ring, and I think, again, I know Aaron Solo's got experience under his belt. I'm just wondering if these shows are getting the best of him, because I don't feel like his confidence is showing through that much, and this is clear when it comes to character. Now, Eddie Kingston has a character, he has a gimmick, but it's not so much of like a here it is in your face. He's just a tough guy, he's a brawler, and it comes through in all his mannerisms, and like, again, he has that street confidence. Whereas with Aaron Solo, I don't see that character. They mention that he's a very technical wrestler, or he's a very good technical wrestler. I just don't see that coming through. Say, for example, he hits a double foot stomp at the end, and it's like, yeah, there's a bit of fire there, but what does that say about you? And again, that's such a hard thing to put into action, but I think it's something that's crucial in terms of people making that next step forward. I'm not saying, when I'm saying character and gimmick, you need to be doink, but there needs to be something that goes, he does this, she does that, they are this person. I feel like that's something that Aaron Solo's missing out on at this moment in time. What's that? What, we need to be out of the building by 10? Alright. Spear. Ricky Starks and Casey Navarro in what is possibly the shortest match on Dark, maybe the shortest match in AEW history. Ricky Starks hits a spear, done. This now is longer than the match, but let me take this time to talk a little bit again about character and comparing him to Aaron Solo from the match before. Again, if we're looking at Ricky Starks, the character is that he loves himself, like he thinks very highly of himself, he's got a big ego, and it's not overplayed. He's doing it in his own little way, and he's put his own twists into it. And I think for a TV product, that is what you need to take yourself from AEW Dark to Dynamite. In the same way that there probably needs to be an element of camera work that comes into going from an indie level to AEW Dark. And I think that step that people need to take, and that we probably want to consider, is how do we make ourselves a TV product? I think Ricky Starks is a very good TV product. When in ring, him and Aaron Solo are probably quite comparable. How do we take that next step? That's the way that we go into it. Is it wrestling? No, but this is a TV product and it's not just wrestling. My mistake. It wasn't that they need to get out of the building earlier, it's that they needed to give this match more time. This is Brandon Cutler versus Mysterio. So, and I say that in jest, this is the longest match that we've got on Dark. It's a first showing for Mysterio, so towards the back end of the show, so this is your match of AEW Dark, it feels. As a first showing from Mysterio, so I liked his look. I thought it was interesting. I thought he's got a good build to him. I don't particularly understand the chainmail on his head, but you know, that's by the by. But he's a luchador, so he did a head scissors and he did a tope within the first 5 minutes, and these lads are going. And Taz rightfully calls, and again, listen to Taz because he talks a lot of sense, that Mysterio so is gassed towards the back end. Excalibur does a good job of covering it, saying that it was the tope from Brandon Cutler that knocked the wind out of him, but you can definitely tell that they've gone too fast and he's just dying towards the back end out of it. Couple of little slips here and there, and I feel like for someone that's his size, he's a similar height to Cutler, and Cutler's a tall dude and he's got more mass on him than Cutler has. He doesn't need to be doing flips and he doesn't need to be doing this acrobatic stuff as much as he is doing in this match. Now, as a first showing, he might come back again and do a little bit less. I understand the lucha libre style of wrestling. It's not my cup of tea, but I understand it. I think for the American TV product, he'd do far better by cutting some of that stuff out. Cutler is an odd one for me. I appreciate that the character's there and he's creating a TV product. He does some really unique things in the ring, and I think, oh, I've never seen that before. There's just this element of almost being a bit of a tryhard. And I feel really bad for saying that because I want him to try hard and I want him to do it. I just feel like he loses the cool factor because there's so many things that he's got going on that it's like, geez, like to pull back a little bit, to maybe do a little bit less, I feel would do him a world of good. But I know he's very set in that role. It's clear. I think that's probably his lot in AEW. I think that's a great place for him to be. Also, I recently discovered that he was on early PWG shows, or like mid-early PWG shows, and looks a lot like Zach Gibson did back in the day. Team Taz are not messing about tonight. Powerhouse Hobbs against Rising. A little known fact about Rising, his first name is Terry. Popped myself. Hobbs comes in with a big splash, hits like a snowplow type of gimmick, finish, done, quick, easy. Will Hobbs is an example of someone being given a storyline gimmick and flourishing with it. This is the best that he's looked, and with good reason. He's finding confidence, he's got a purpose in wrestling, or he's got a purpose within AEW. Spot on. I think Ryzen does a great job of being a undercard TV talent. He is limited. Like, he comes from Hellgate, Florida, third favourite wrestler of Hellgate, Florida. He's very cartoony and like mid-90s WWF gimmick, but that's fine. At least as a gimmick he's memorable. Like, I remember Rising, and I think that's important, and I think that he'll probably end up having a job in the long run because he does his purpose, he fulfills his role, he's got a character, he's got a gimmick, and he's got a look. Like, he's a very well-rounded package. It's just, it has a ceiling, and in wrestling that's fine because he's making money out being on Dark. So good for Ryzen, good for Terry. It's time for our main event, and this is Nick Comoroto with the Nightmare Family against Fuego del Sol. I've got a couple of little points that I want to pick out through this. Nick Comoroto, like I spoke about last time, I think he's got great talent. I think he has the potential to go very far, but I don't understand the straight jacket. It now has the Nightmare Family logo on the back of it. Cool. Yes, he's an angry dude, but there's nothing about him that screams like psycho, just released from the asylum. So why have a straight jacket? I just lose it. I don't think the in-ring matches with that. Whereas they mentioned that he's got a big amateur background, something like a varsity jacket that's like ripped and torn and like muddy and stuff like that would far more describe the fact that like he has this solid wrestling background. He's a very fundamentally sound wrestler, but also he's not afraid to get down and dirty. My opinion on that. Fuego del Sol, credit to the lad because he's doing his utmost to get onto AEW Dark, and I think this is one of the prime reasons why the wrestling world is changing and why things like Sammy's vlog are incredibly crucial to the development of character. Fuego doesn't get any sort of like mention particularly on the match or like in the build up to this. He's a jobber, but the fact that he's on Sammy's vlog regular, the fact that I know and I'm fully invested in the fact that he's got this thing with QT Marshall, which is why this match is happening, that he's got the Tornado DDT, like I'm waiting for that Tornado DDT, and he teased it in this match, and I think credit to Fuego del Sol because he's putting in the groundwork. Hopefully it pays off for him, hopefully he gets some sort of contract, hopefully he's getting paid well for doing this sort of stuff. But again, I think the use of the vlogs and being the elite did exactly the same, and he's doing exactly the same with Dark Order. We're now stepping away from segments on shows to now segments on YouTube, and you have to watch those segments on YouTube to understand the characters to then see where the motives come from, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I would rather have a more condensed wrestling show with additional information on YouTube that you can watch at any time. My final point is on the Nightmare Family. I get it. I understand this team collective and having younger guys and giving them a bit of something. This is the team that they're within. It just feels heelish. It just feels like they're bad guys. This whole angle with QT Marshall and Fuego del Sol paints QT as like a heel, and then there's three lads coming out against Fuego, and Nick by himself could take on the entirety of the AEW roster. That's the way they're painting him. So why do they need to come out with him? It just feels very heelish, and I maybe this is an American thing, and maybe being British, I'll lose that connection somewhere. Just for me, the Nightmare Family stuff would work so much better as a heel faction, but they can't be heels because they're bringing in the faces and they're giving them something around themselves, which is something that I mentioned a couple of times. Aaron Solo, for example, needs the link to the Nightmare Family to give him that extra little credit. I just think the way that they execute it sometimes comes off as like they're a heel faction, but again, I might just be losing like cheesy Americanness for being arrogant. And that was AEW Dark this week, a short one, a very short one in comparison to what we've had weeks gone by. I mean, this was an hour. whereas usually they've been up to 2 hours, over 2 hours, and I'm not really complaining about that. One, it's a free show on YouTube, so I have nothing to complain about. They could put out a half-hour show, and that'd be absolutely fine. Couple of shorter matches in this, which is fine for the purpose that they're serving, just very quick and to the point. A lot of things putting over the 6-man tag on Dynamite this coming week. They're putting over the Revolution storyline with Team Tarzan, Sting and Darby Allin. For me, this week, the light in the dark, as I'm phrasing it, the best match would have been Tyconte against Vixen. I think it did the best job of utilising Dark in terms of giving Ty more reps in ring, and I think Vixen did the best out of the enhancement talent to really show something different about her. Special credit to Eric James as well, who stood out from people that I've not seen before. What did you think of Dark this week? Did you enjoy that it was shorter? Did you feel the need for the squashes, or do you think that they were a bit of a waste of time? Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you next week for After Dark.